Hello, my name is Rosine, this is Legends Hot Baby and welcome to my channel. Today I am here with my TBR game for August. It's my choose your own adventure game. Now, I won't lie, I'm finishing this a little early, but that's mostly so if I do mess up, I have time to forget the prompts again before reshooting closer to the time, because I'm also a little bit eager when it comes to getting TBRs. I honestly don't know how many books I'm going to get. I have forgotten the routes. I know the minimum amount of books I can get is 2. And if I get, if I get between 2 and let's say 5 books, I have my TBR jar next to me so I can pull a couple of books out at random, you know, as well as the TBR game. And I will film myself doing that too if it comes to that. Now, how this is going to work is I am going to be reading the prompts and the story bits out. I have them here, but I will also post them in this video at the side. I'm not sure what side it's going to be. I'm filming a different way around than I used to, so I don't have to flip it so I get higher quality. So it'll be other side. So I will place the prompts next to my head so you can all read them. You can therefore play along while watching if you want. However, remember your route will be somewhat restricted to what I'm choosing. So if you wish to basically play along while I do it, then I will have the blog post with all the prompts and the story in the link below. So you can pop that up and basically you can follow your path while I choose mine. Now, I asked my mum how many books she thinks I reckon I get. She said 10. I really hope not. Right. So let's get this started. Basically, depending on how well this video goes depends on how likely I am to do more of these. I'm hoping that it will be really fun and it'll work out really nicely. If it doesn't, I've tried it and I can always find something else to do. So here we go for my August TBR. Let's begin. Welcome to the city of Cannae, the city of riches and smugglers alike. And now the festival of Saran, the sky god, is upon us, and the city is packed with revellers, and you are about to step out into it. You open your front door, the morning air is fresh with anticipation. There are a few places you could go. You have plans for today, plans that could change the course of your life forever. What direction do you head? The market, the port, or the slums? Now, that's a fairly difficult choice because, you know, I know the whole idea of this is you're part of a rebellion. Things could change. If you go to the slums, that could be negative. If you go to the market, that could be negative. You could go either way, as could the port. I think I'm going to go with the market, actually. So I will go to 4. And for that, I need to, blindly pick a book from my shelves. So hold on while I just... I've got all the books next to me, so I can just sort of... Well, dear, I just knocked something up. Yeah. Okay. Oh, I got one. Oh. I'm not going to lie, I'm a little bit disappointed. I have The Affair of Poisons by Addie Fawley here, which, don't get me wrong, is a book I'm hugely excited to read, and it took me a while to get it, and I'm glad I did. But it was part of my July TBR for Emblemathon, and I wasn't hugely in the mood for it. I had a lot of other French setting books, and I just didn't feel like reading this one. So since it was so thick and I couldn't get an audiobook, I pulled it out. But I guess I have to read it sooner rather than later after all. So my first book for August is The Affair of Poisons. So An Affair of Poisons follows 2 main characters. You have Mirabelle, who is the daughter of a woman who is a poisoner and part of something called the Shadow Society. When she accidentally kills the King Louis, I can't remember what number, but she winds up helping her mum poison him. She feels really guilty and wants to try and fix things. As well as this, you have a royal bastard who has been working as a kitchen boy. His name is Jose. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. And when the castle is infiltrated by the Shadow Society, he winds up having to become the prince he never planned on really being, to try and save his sisters, his brother, and basically just save everything. It's supposed to be an enemies to lovers romance. It looks very beautiful and fun. And yeah, here's hoping I'll enjoy it, but at the moment I'm just kind of like, oh, didn't want to read that yet. Well, good start, I guess. So now I am in the market. It says, you reach the market and instantly you're pulled into the crowds. The stalls are bright and loud, all fighting for your attention. You don't know where to look first. But one stall does catch your eye. The stall owner is enveloped in a velvet cloak so black they almost blended into the shadows. All you could see was a pair of golden eyes. You couldn't even tell what they were thinking. You step forwards, your eyes lingering on the cloaks that hang around them. The cloak around your shoulders is looking a little frayed. You pull out your purse and select the rich velvet lined with white fur, a deep blue cloak made out of plain cotton. It's simple but pretty. A scratchy looking brown cloak that you aren't actually sure if is for sale or if someone left it that would be good for blending in. Okay, so I don't really want to go for the plain cloak because I have a feeling that, you know, in my head my character sort of, she's living an average life. She's not poor, she's not rich. An average cloak's probably what she's wearing already, even if it is a little frayed. So as pretty as the colour is, I don't want to go for that. The other options are the really rich cloak and the scracky cloak. Now, as tempting as getting a rich cloak would be, you've then got the problem that you're going to stand out a lot. And if the whole point is you're trying to change your life, is really buying a rich cloak going to work out in your favour? I don't think so. So I think, yeah, I'm going to go for the scratchy looking cloak. So that says go to 19. Here's hoping I've got better luck with my prompt this time. So for this, I've got read your lowest rated book. Oh, God. I don't have all my TBR on Goodreads. Hell. Fuck, that's actually a problem. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to cheat. I'm going to check a couple of books that I think are going to be really low rated because I haven't really seen people speak about them, including some rereads. And then out of those, I'm going to read. So yeah, it's cheating a little bit. But as it is, I don't have all my TBR on Goodreads and I have a lot of books and it could take me a while to scan them all up. So I'll do that this time. I will keep this prompt if I do further ones and I'll make sure they're all on there for the next one. So while doing that, I realised that I don't actually know what they mean by lowest rated, at least when it comes to Goodreads. Do you mean the lowest number of ratings or do you mean the lowest rated score? So I've actually gone for score, and for that, with a 3.7 rating, I have Soulbeat by Kate Harrison, which is a reread. The plot of this is the main character's sister has died, and when one day she receives an email supposedly from her sister inviting her to this online place where she could supposedly talk to her sister, she's obviously kind of freaked out but desperate to basically talk to her sister. So there's a mystery into looking into how her sister died and what's going on. I very much enjoyed it the first time, and I'm basically rereading it to see whether it's worth keeping or not. A little better than the first one, a little better, apart from the fact it's a reread, which I suppose might not be good, but I do need to get them on there. So, this said, with your wardrobe choices, you blend in with the poorer sections of society. This would be the perfect opportunity to head into the slums and meet the person who agreed to see you today. Still nervous about this meeting, unsure as to whether you actually want to be part of this rebellion, and possibly reveal your secret. So my options are to go to the slums or head back home. Now, I'm already out here. I feel like if I head home, that's probably one of my end prompts, which would be all well and good. I've heard a few more books, but I don't want to risk that. I don't want to risk, you know, only winding up with 2 books on my TBR. So I am going to head into the slums. And that says go to 8, so now I've got to go back. Oh boy. Yes, it's one of the first options, wasn't it? There we go. Oh, okay. So for 8, we have pick a thriller. Now that's a nice prompt. I think technically Soul Beach might kind of class as a thriller, but I do have a few other thrillers I would be interested in reading. Hold on a moment. Okay, this was actually a really great prompt in my opinion, because it means I finally get to read Alone in the Wild by Kelly Armstrong. Now, I'm not going to go into too much detail about what this book is about. It is the 4th book in the Rockden series, which is a thriller series where the main character has moved into this secret community up in the mountains and in the middle of the forest, where people move to basically to escape from the law or from people who might be trying to track them down. The main character, Casey Duncan, has become part of the sheriff's department there. And yeah, they have lots of serial killers and things around, and I absolutely adore this series. Being on my TBR pot for a while, and I've just not been pulling out, so I am super excited to finally get to this. Kelly Armstrong is one of my favourite authors. It's nice and short, so that should definitely be an easy read. Hell yes. We are now in the slums. The slums is closer packed than you expected for some reason. It's not your first time here, but you're uncomfortable all the same. You're sure you can defend yourself if need be, but you don't wish to need to. Your eyes are darting back and forwards, and you assume that this means you are paying attention to your surroundings. But it's not enough. As you pass a tavern, a man in a plague doctor's mask steps out and you bump right into him. What do you do? Ooh, that's worrying. Apologise. It was your fault and you do not want to get into trouble. A snap at the doctor's mask must be affecting his sight as he ran into you. Step back and wait for the man to pass. You have more important things to do. You know what? That's an easy one. I'm going to apologise because I ran into him and I'm in the slums and I don't know if he is a safe person to run into. So I'm not risking pissing him off. So I am apologising, which means go to 21. 21 is read a historical novel. Oh, I don't actually have many of those. Let me see what ones I've got. Now, I was just thinking, A Pair of Poisons I think is technically historical. I'm not sure if it's just historical or not. So I wish I could have... Well, no, I probably wouldn't have picked it for that, that's not lie. So I'm going to go for one which I'm not sure I want to read, but it's a little out of my comfort zone. But it's a different sort of historical to An Affair of Poisons, and that is Bring Down the Duke by Evie Dunmore. I tried this in my Try a Chapter challenge, and it is about a young woman who, in her desperate need to go to Oxford, has to try and recruit some men to the suffrage course. It looks okay. I've said before, I'm not sure if I genuinely would have picked it up if I hadn't been looking for something out of my comfort zone, but hopefully I'll enjoy it. It's a little thicker than maybe I'd like for something that's kind of romance, but it's something different and it means I've got a bit of variety in my pile, kind of. Where are all my fantasy novels? I want fantasy. I was like joking with my sister earlier, but if I don't get fantasy I'm going to cry because that's mostly what I've got, and it's true, but I want to also read them. So hell, I've not had the fantasy prompt yet. It makes me sad. The supposed plague doctor studies you carefully, his golden eyes making you want to step further back. There was something cruel and unnatural about them, like he was looking at you and wondering how you'd look if he broke you apart. What the fuck? Watch where you're going. What are you thinking? I'm thinking, what the fuck? I'm telling you right now. He looks familiar. Where have I seen him before? I should probably back away. There's something wrong with him. How dare he speak to me that way? I'll show him. Watch where you're going. I mean, I'm slightly terrified by the fact he wants to break me apart. Again, I don't want to piss him off, but at the same time it's tempting to like challenge him and see what happens, but I don't want to die. So, by the way, it's definitely possible to have deaths in this. Like, some of the ends are just end of TBR because you've gone home, or it's just the end of story. Some of them are deaths, and though like 4 books is a decent TBR, that's not what I want. So I'm going to say I should probably back away. There's something wrong with him, which means I need to go back to the beginning and go to 3. I have to read a horror novel. Wow. That's difficult. Let me see if I've got any. I realised I do in fact have a horror novel because I have Dark Calling by Darren Shan, which is the 9th book in the Demon Artist series. Now, I'm not sure what this one is about, and it's part of a very long series, so I'm not going to go into any detail. At the very least, it is very short, so I will put that down. See, I've not had a proper fantasy book yet. I'm just kind of sat here like, I have all these fantasy books I want to read. Why? Oh. Wait, shit, really? Oh no! End of TBR. No, I honestly thought I'd get way more than that. What the hell? I had so many like prompts I was excited to share and react to, and I've just ended my TBR by being a wimp, basically. It half makes me want to start again, just to refilm it to get better. No, that would be cheating. That's the whole point, was I forget the order so I could wind up with anything. So at least it means I could pick some fantasy books up from my jar. So this says, you back away from the man. There was something terrifying about him. Something that made you think there was more to him than meets the eye. It was the reason you usually avoid the slums. It was a waste of time, but surely you're about to pick up information another way. You have no other choice. Game over, end of TBR. I know, I'm actually so disappointed. I really thought, even though I don't remember, I can get like the really long route and get some really interesting book mixes, some of the fun prompts, but I didn't. So from my TBR game, these are my books. I did only get a 5. I will pick another 3 books out of my TBR jar, so here's hoping for some of the fantasy ones. So, here we are for bonus. I also have some arcs I should be reading, but what I'm going to do is, rather than considering part of my main TBR, I'm going to see what my arcs are like basically at the beginning of August, because if I do have some, I basically need to read them straight at the beginning of the month. So I'd rather have this set for after I've gotten through those, and then if I need to read the arcs for late in August or September, I can slip those in as I'm actually getting through the books. So the first book I have just pulled out from this is a fantasy book. I don't know if you're about to read this, you usually can't. It is Warrior of the Wild by Trisha Levenseller. This is Warrior of the Wild. The main character, Rasmira, has, she's really strong and smart, and basically things are going well, and then she winds up failing something and she gets sent out and she has to try and solve some things to get back into the compound. It's a Viking sort of fantasy. I'm definitely looking forward to getting to it. So there we go. There is a fantasy novel. Right. The problem is I could also pick a book out that I have already picked out, but aside from another one. Oh, there we go. It's not a fantasy so much. It's a little bit. But I don't, again, see if you can read it. That is Miss Mayhem by Rachel Hawkins. This is the second Rebel Belle book, and I don't really know much about it. But it's a sequel, so I will leave it at that. It is at the very least very small. And the third and final one is... Oh! I got a book I really wanted to read, thank God. Again, don't know if you can read it, but I have The Gilded Ones by Namina Fauna. Here we go, my last one, which is I'm incredibly excited to read. So at very least, I have this on my TBR. So that is my TBR for August. It is 8 books long. I may, in fact, wind up reading more than that, but to have a set TBR of 8 books seems like a good, even amount to me. Again, it makes it easy if I need to throw in arcs or library books or anything. And if I finish it, I can obviously then add more books on or mood read. My full TBR is as follows. That's fairly heavy, and I suppose none of the books are hugely massively thick, at least, so it's not too bad. Yeah, some books I kind of hoped to get in there, but I didn't. But that's the only thing with like a TBR game or even just a TBR jar. Unless you literally decide to pick out and make a pile from scratch of definitely what you want to read, then you always wind up books with you want to read, but you don't care as much, so you never get to them. And I try and avoid that now. It's the whole reason I started TBR jar. So that was it. If you would perhaps like to buddy read any of these with me this August, I would absolutely love that. Just leave a comment below and we can sort someplace out to talk about them. If you have read any of them, then let me know what you think. I hope you enjoyed it and had a lot of fun with it. I hope you are participating in it too. If you have, then let me know what you got, how many books you got, whether it was, fun, and whether I should do any more. I'm sorry the video wasn't any longer. I really wish it was, but yeah, I wound up with a game over earlier on than I expected. It was entirely possible. At least I got more than 2 books, because that's basically a thing. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed. Please remember to like, subscribe, and leave a comment. Thanks.